wrote about the book she got is it's a wonderful book. It's a term when the rocket takes off. This is what happens when the rocket takes off. And he quoted facts in that book. The number of kids that die in infancy, it's nowhere compared was just years ago. The number of people living in poverty, nowhere compared was years ago. And such things as vaccinations and so on. And it's all because of somebody's imagination that has made life better in any field you can think of. And like in this country, we talk about and so forth. And I think with a family of four, you need $30,000 a year. If you're making $30,000 a year, the top 1% in the world's population for his income. Okay, things are improving drastically. I mean, I had a guy come see me in Liberia back a couple of weeks ago, and he's from Liberia. And if you see his picture posted, he had his red shirt, that's all, dress. But he works for Charleston, Texas, and their goal is simply. So he's a missionary for a church. He got 2 jobs done. And he's and they got one goal. He says by the end of 2020, everybody in Liberia will be involved of getting safe drinking water. Now we've got to endorse it, but that's a big deal because the kids that die before they're 5 years old, most of them is because malnutrition or simply getting bad water and so forth. And them undernourished can't simply fight it off, and they die. Melinda Gates, she talked about interviewing this one lady that had 8 kids, and 6 of her kids at childbirth or shortly thereafter, because it's such things as was invented to the and sanitation's cause and malnutrition, lack of contraceptives and so forth and so on. But the Gates Foundation has billions of dollars, as he said, to educate them so they can sustain themselves without having someone else to do the feeding and so forth, to make them where they can be responsible and forth. So it's a human trait all over the world. We want our children to live better than we did. We want progress. That's just built in. And with this philosophy, we can do things.
I think that one of the greatest things about Napoleon Hill thinking with creative vision that I've come across is that a lot of people, they fear that if they share their knowledge with someone else, that they're going to lose it. In other words, a lot of people, they don't want to help others succeed. They want to just get what they want, and they're afraid that there's not enough. It's scarcity. And that they have this fear that there's just not enough resources. Well, I got a quote here that I think is just beautiful. Men with creative vision never limit the amount of service they render. On the contrary, they extend their services in every direction possible by going the extra mile. There is no other way by which a man can make the fullest use of his privilege of personal initiative. To get more from life, one must give. That's Andrew Carnegie telling that to Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, well, he said man's only limitations within reason and the values of his imagination, and that's how we'll make Coca-Cola and so forth. He told so many wonderful stories, and he said a creative imagination. He defined it. It's man's use of connecting to intelligence, and he said that's where all basic ideas are handed to man. Is to infinite intelligence, and he understood it. But what often happens to us, we use our imagination in a negative manner. He said, in one of the audios I've got, he talked in 1938, and that's when he wrote that. Well, you can see where it come from. He was using his imagination in reverse. He just divorced, lost his Rolls Royce, and so on and so forth. Some bad business. His mind was playing tricks on him. He was using it in a manner. And we talk like desire. Desire is something other that you can reach out there and touch. You can use your desire to create something touch, or it be money, real estate, or what you can use your mind to create it. But it's a desire is simply something we can apply the principles to and create that desire into his equivalent. And that's the point of it. And you know what you mentioned purpose. And I always like the Warren that wrote The Purpose Devil Life. Of course, he's a pastor of one of the largest churches in the United States. And he starts off on just a thing. It says, man must find his purpose. Talk about starting point of all achievement. He must find his purpose. And some people, like you said, they're legs. They take care of what comes to them. And it shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't have to go into a restaurant or walk and they just bring you some food. You know, you might not eat beef or you might not like what. You got a menu in life where you can go through there and check off what you want. He says, what do you plan on doing to achieve what you desire? And that's where the plans come in. And he tells us from where he says, you may have the idea to call up another, make some plans. They may not work out good. But he said the number one thing is to start. Even if they have plans, there's several things you can do. You can start over. You can simply alter the plans. You can get somebody to help you. But they don't quit. You don't quit on your desire. It may take longer than you want. You may have to have more help than you anticipated. It may be tougher than anticipated. But what did most people do? They quit. And he's in an audience I listened to. He said, he asked the audience, how many times does a person attempt something before they quit? And they would holler 1, 2. He said, no, I had the average. The average is less than 1 because most people never start. And so when you factor those in, some people try 1, 2 times or 3 times. And, you know, we've heard that the famous saying by a lot of you, it's not how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get up. Which is extremely important because like our B from Gold and Hill writing about the Darby story, we don't know we are to success when we quit. It may be in the next moment, the next day, or 3 feet, or whatever. Or not if we don't stick with it till we get the results. I told you once we mentioned you and I was talking about whether it's recorded or not. Steve Jobs he relied on persistence. Once he had an idea, he still answered to it. But once he had the idea and he thought it was worthwhile development, it was persistence that got him to get the results he wanted. And I guess it comes down to how bad do you want it. Some people simply don't. They're willing to sit there and lead a miserable life of their own choosing.
Well, that's just another example of how it all ties together. If a person has a desire, he knows his purpose. You want to take a break for a second?
No, I'm okay.
Okay, so if a person he knows what he wants, and he lays out a plan, and when he's laying out that plan, there's a lot of obstacles, and a lot of people succumb to those obstacles. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to overcome them. But faith, believing in yourself, surrounding yourself with people that pick you up, people that bring you back down to earth when you're getting a little too far off in the wrong way. You know, the 17 principles all put together can make a person whole, focused, successful. I mean, that's what Napoleon Hill tried to do. Don, we had a lot of conversation so far about how these points, creative vision, imagination, some of the greatest men in the world have come up with some things that they gave to mankind. You know, the light bulb, the automobile, electricity, the radio, you know, all these things. But to get a little more down to earth practical, Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill got into a very deep conversation, and it's recorded in the How to Own Your Own Mind. And I like this part here. Napoleon Hill asked Mr. Carnegie, he says, Mr. Carnegie, I've always been interested in understanding more about the transition by which one changes from poverty to riches. Practically every man of great wealth in the United States appears to have started at scratch with nothing but a sound mind and an opportunity, such as every man has under the American way of life. Now, what I would like to know is this. What is the first move a man makes when he is through with poverty and has become determined he will have riches? Where is the precise point at which the transition from poverty takes place, and how may one reach that point? That's a question that that Andrew Carnegie was asked by Napoleon Hill. Would you like to speak to that one?
Yeah, we ideas they're translated into physical equivalent by definite purpose, having plans, and taking action. And by the way, action is mentioned in Think and Rich 77 times. So if you want to say there's a secret, that might be close to it, or thought what you want to say. But of that, is the point that Mr. Stone always mentioned in our board meetings, came up with the term "just do it." We see other people use, and it's extremely important. We have ideas, and we get ideas by use of our mind. Gates said he locked himself in a room with very little light and a pencil on a pad, and he said, seemed like things came to him. What Edison said was, he said when he didn't have the answer, he concentrated, and it seemed like they just come out of the air. In other words, of course, when you do something like that, people will say, "Oh, why didn't I think of that?" I was had a piece of land one time. I had a chance to buy a piece of land. By the way, if you visit, I can show you. Walmart sits on the park today. Sold it for a lot of money, but it was growing up in weeds. And the fact is, a prospective investor said, nothing there are weeds. Well, I had the data on it. It was on a 4-way major way, US 23, which runs from Detroit to Florida, where the major thoroughfare, 4-lane divided highway. And I didn't see that. It was at an intersection, red light. It's on the courthouse. Anyway, he was going to go through the area. But actually, I saw Cracker Barrel, Walgreens, or somebody willing to come by and to get some money for it. I mean, I saw that as a vision. I didn't see it as real land. And of course, it didn't exactly turn out that way. I put a dry cleaner in as a very successful business for 13 or 14 years. Anyway, Walmart showed up one day and wanted to buy the land. And it was a no-brainer. We did price, but we get quiet. And of course, that's the reason we read a lot. Bill Gates on the radio today, he said, if people revise one thing he would tell them to do, make sure to become an editor, because we can get ideas from reading other people's done. Because most of the things accomplished is synthetic, meaning took other stuff and turned them around a little bit and made something out of it. So a lot of our ideas can come books two different ways. One of saying, just like we said in the Bible, do what these men did, yeah, you'll have a good life. The other warning, don't do what these people did. So that's why we read and study other people. Is from one of them we get an idea of what to do, and from others we'll get ideas of what not to, because we don't live long enough to make all the mistakes. If you see me standing my hand on a hot stove and you see I got bad burns from it, as a lesson. You don't have to experiment that and accomplish the same thing. But then again, if you see someone doing something that turns, you can practice or apply it to your own bit. One of the fun things I think about the vision is I'm a golfer, and you read people about Jack Nicklaus, some of these guys. He said they visualize the ball. In other words, before they hit it, they stand up there and they see where that ball is going to travel. They just don't walk up the ball and hope we know where it goes. It may not turn out exactly. At least they had in their mind's eye where they went. Now they might have heard out the mechanics of it exactly, but it's important that they see them traveling at the place they wanted to be, and that's the same way with us too. You don't go down there and get in the car and crack off and say, "Well, I'm going to just go," and you find out you're going north. You have to vision where you're going to go before you get there, and then you can pick out the lines and the cutoffs. And if you drive a couple hundred miles up North Carolina and the road's washed out or have an accident, you say, "Well, I turn around, call them. That road's blocked." No, you simply may have to ask questions, which around and you get ask questions or look at a map, or today we get on the phone, GPS, and locate a different route. And that's the same way within life. They always go exactly like we want to, but there's no reason that we can't alter